Welcome to Rock Your Talk. I'm Leisa Reid, your host, founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now. Very excited to welcome our guest today, Ms. Tanya Tyler. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Miss Lisa. Thank you for having me here.
I'm so excited. It's so fun meeting people across the country and being able to virtually connect with so many different people. Tanya's going to share some tips about how to get your flow, how to build your confidence. I'm very excited. She's a very upbeat person. She helps a lot of people, so I'm very excited to hear about her. A couple of announcements before we get started. If you are tuning in and you happen to be a speaker or you'd like to know how you can use speaking as a way to build your bottom line, build your business, attract your clients, head on over to GetSpeakingGigsNow.com and you can get a couple of different things over there. You can get 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs. Just enter your email and we'll get that information out to you. Or if you're someone who's like, you know what, I am ready to do this thing and this is the sign you were waiting for, grab a call with me at GetSpeakingGigsNow.com/chat and we'll have a speaker strategy session to see how I can best serve you and how we can get you from where you are to where you want to be. All right, so now you've got a little bit of tips on how you can build your business. Tanya, please share with us about a little bit about you. I know you've done a lot of really great things.
Well, thank you, Miss Lisa. Again, thank you for this wonderful opportunity. It's been a pleasure to connect with you, and I can't. So thankful to know you. And I want to say, who I am is really about building your confidence and helping people get out of their I say your mental cages. My whole thing is about building your confidence and creating a flow that works for you, not against you. So that's really what I my passion is for. And I created the podcast to allow people to share their message so they can get out of their little say your little comfort zone, your little mental box. That's what I'd like to
Well,
do.
and one of the things that I love about you is you have a unique way of doing that. So talk a little bit about the strides. I know you've got. Tell us what's that because I know you do something that's a little different than most people.
My company is confidencestrides.com and it's based off of the fact that I love to walk. So that's the whole premise of how everything works is based off of my clarity walks that I go through it every day. And with the clarity walks, that's what helps me. And we're going to go into diving a little bit more about building confidence. But to me, my confidence started when I started walking. So that's I had the name for the business. I just didn't know how it was going to work. So that's part of what we talked about is enjoying the ride and building your confidence, and that's how everything is sort of like growing that way, just learning that you are enough doing what you do. And so confidence rise is not just a name, it's actually a lifestyle.
And it's like an action. And I mean, I know there's so many different types of coaches, but I love that you combine your personal passion and love for walking and how you get clarity and bring that type of joy to other people. So it's a really unique way of moving through a process or transformation. So I just thought not everyone would necessarily know that you do that. So thank you for sharing that. And I know you've got 3 tips to share with us today about building confidence and getting in flow. What is your first tip you want to share?
Well, thank you, Miss Lisa. I would definitely say the first tip number one is always do something that gets your energy flowing. Get something that gets you up and moving because once you get that energy flowing, it's like it just carries you into momentum into other things. So, like for me, I always usually try to start a walk. The struggle with being here in Ohio is the weather can be kind of funky. So I don't always get the luxury of a walk or a run. So what I did today, for example, is I got on and I turned on my DVD and I put on Billy Blank. So he got me up and moving. But I always find something that gets that energy flowing. So that's the first tip I always definitely say. Get something that gets that junk moving, that
I love
energy going.
that. That is something that I wouldn't necessarily, it wouldn't occur to me because I'm more like mentally stimulated versus physically, but even just breathing, like say you're, out there listening to the show and you're like, oh, Billy Blanks, what, that's, he was going to get you going. That's for sure. But even just breathing, right? Or stretching or reaching up to the sky, even if you're stuck inside and you can't get out because of the weather, there's some other things you can use to move your body, right? To move that energy.
Oh yeah, you can actually just turn on the music, just start dancing around the house too. I mean, the thing is
I love that.
about the physical is that it just gets you up and moving. It just gets that stale energy flowing. So that's why I say just get up, do something that's going to get you jumping. If you got to get down and do some push-ups, then knock out the push-ups. But you'll see the difference with your energy as soon as you do something physical.
I love that. It's especially because I think as adults, we kind of just get like sedated, we're sedentary, all those things. And as a kid, you're in gym class, you're running around, you're playing games, you're going out of recess, you're all around playing all these games and activities. And then you hit a certain age and just don't do that anymore unless you have to then now go seek it out. It's not just regimented for you like it is
Yeah.
for most of your childhood.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So
Very
I
cool.
said seek out some kind of something that gets you up and moving. Like I said, even if you have turn on some music, turn on the radio, dance around to a couple of songs, you'll be like, oh, I haven't sweat like that in years. And
I
then you'll
love
be
that.
amazed at how much clarity you get just by just a few minutes of just up and moving.
Love it. All right. What's your second tip?
My second tip is then pay attention to your thoughts, your words, and your actions, and what it sort of like goes together. Because once you get up and moving, you start getting the insights that come flowing at you, and that's when I would say that's when you get still. And then that's when you can start paying attention to your thoughts. And another way I would say pay attention to your thoughts is journal. So I'm like, once you get up and get moving, then sit down, reflect, and think about all those insights that are coming to you because your body is trying to speak to you. It's a mind body uh
Connection.
connection. So if you get that body going, your mind is going to follow. Sometimes it might be the opposite direction, but for me it's always been get that body moving, get that energy flowing, and then your words and your thoughts and your feelings start to flow. And when you start paying attention to your words, you're realizing whether you're speaking life into what you're doing or you're speaking anything against it. Some of your words are either going to take you to your goal or away from your goal, depending on how you think. So I think your perception and how you look at your perception is the biggest thing that's going to help you either grow or not.
And I love your second tip because that second tip, that's actually like 47 tips, right? Because, you know, keeping in mind your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, that's a huge order, right? It sounds simple, like because we can literally say that in one sentence, but figuring out what does that mean to you? How does that fit for you? How does that land? What's normal for you? What like I you mentioned journaling. I know some people absolutely love journaling, and then some people are like, nah, I'm never gonna do that. Some people like meditating, some people like exercising, some people are just kind of can mentally process it without it being external. We just have all these different ways in which we function, and so like finding your way of how to best keep an eye on your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions is part of the journey.
Yeah, and I would also say, what I did was before I really got into the journaling thing, is I always had a daily calendar, and I didn't. This is before I even had clients, right? I thought, well, if I have clients, this is the time I would use. So I would track down. I would put in all the things that I wanted to do. So, and this was mainly pertaining to like self care. So it's like meditation, checking care of my water intake, so I would like hydrate and then like the little 8 check marks, so you keep into that. Then you got your quiet time, your time for reflection, your stretches, your reading, your journaling, and I would have all those checked off so I could keep an eye as to what I was doing, because if you want to change anything, you got to track it.
I
So
love it.
that's what I used to do, is just track what I wanted to do.
I love that. Yeah, you were very, and it sounds like you're really organized and had a good system that worked for you, like and that's another one too, depending on a person's personality. Like if you want to check it off the list or do a line through it, or like, yes, I did that, your little successes. Sometimes that lists work great for me. And then sometimes I get too overwhelmed by my list. So it just depends on my husband's a big check off the tasks kind of guy too. So it's fun. But I like to play like games with myself, like, okay, 20 minutes. What can I do in 20 minutes? Like, boom, okay, here's all the things I need to do. Which one I'm gonna pick? I'm gonna pick that one. And then like I have like I kind of like the race the clock type of feeling. It's synthetic. I mean, it's not this would be when like I can what do I want to choose to do my time with, right? And versus having like these real deadlines. It's like my imaginary deadline of what do I want to do. So I like to play all kinds of mind games with myself.
Mind games can be fun, Miss Lisa. I definitely recommend it.
You're intentional and conscious about it, right? Like, might as well work with the system you have. Like, okay,
Mhm.
clearly I do well under that kind of system, and a little bit of pretend pressure. Let's do it, baby. That I like that. um,
Definitely, definitely.
what's your third tip?
My number 3 tip is stop comparing yourself to others. That is the biggest epiphany moment that I had because I struggled. I don't know if I really share with you because we've talked a couple of times, but I really had to get off of Facebook for a period of time because I got all this great insight, but at the same time, when I was watching people on Facebook and Instagram, I'm thinking to myself, I had those thoughts like I was a failure because I was like, I wasn't achieving the great success stories that, I wasn't bringing in the money they were doing. And I'm thinking to myself, finally paying attention to my thoughts. My number 2 tip was pay attention to your thoughts. I was like, Tanya, if you're feeling like this, there's something you can do about it. And then the thing was like, get your butt off of damn Facebook. So that's what I did. I had to get it off and stop comparing myself to what everybody else was doing. And once I started doing that, that's when really, I think the shift really started to take off because I didn't have to sit there and beat myself up because I didn't have certain amount of clients or I wasn't doing these amount of lives or whatever. It's just like that works for them, great. You applaud them, but it's not for you. So
Yes. There's two. One is a word that I heard that I really like when it comes to stuff like that I heard it years ago and it always sticks with me. And then the other is a phrase and same thing. So the word is like she had said it in a phrase like, "Oh, are you suffering from comparisitis?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So now I can hear myself like if I'm for whatever reason triggered by something or I should be like that person or why am I whatever those words I think, oh, okay, comparisitis is setting in. That's interesting, Lisa. You know what? What do you want to do with that? And that just alone can stop me going, like you said, the thoughts that are taking you towards your goal or away from your goal. And the other phrase that I really appreciated and use a lot for myself is, or for my clients is, don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle. And I think that's so rings true for so many entrepreneurs because you have to start somewhere. You start and then you're just as far as you are. And you're just like
mhm.
exactly where you need to be. But there's always going to be somebody else who is at a different level, and that's okay. I had a guy that I spoke to, and he's a very prominent leader and of a really, you know, global organization. And he compared himself to Tony Robbins, and he in a good way. He's just, he's great. He goes, and Tony can charge, I think it was like $1 million for one-on-one coaching because he goes, I'm not there, I don't I don't charge $1 million for it. Um, but he is very. Other people could look at this person and think he's so incredible and so amazing. So having that humility and has comfort with where we are with ourselves. I love that. That's really good.
Yeah, I like and like I said, all goes together because once I'm going back for my walk, that's what helps me get centered again. And I realize, like, am I paying attention to my thoughts? Am I comparing myself to others? Are these judgmental thoughts that I'm having against other people? So that's the time I reflect. And again, you just take the time to journal it, write it down. You don't have to write a novel if you do a journal. You just jot your thoughts down, and you can go back when you. And the thing is, the cool part I think, Miss Lisa, is you could always go back and see where the journey is taking you. And I think a lot of people forget to celebrate the wins. You've come so far. Yeah, you're not where you want to be, but you can always look back and say, gosh, I'm not where I used to be. And thank goodness. So that's why I always say those always go together that way, and that's what to me is a way to find your flow and build your confidence because every little win takes you to where you want to go. And I don't think we celebrate enough of our little wins.
No, I agree. Or I mean, I agree with you. That is something that I am continuing to learn how to do and what feels right for me and how do I know when I've celebrated and what do I feel and what is that like? And this comes from, spending a lot of my adult life in a fairly numb state, and so it's like, oh, what would I imagine that would feel like? And letting those feelings come through and feeling them in my body. And Again, sounds super simple. But if you've managed to do something a certain way most of your life, cool. It's exciting. It's exciting. I like
It
that
is.
kind of game. That's fun.
Yeah.
So I know you have a podcast as well, and you have a website with lots of information on there. Can you tell people how they can get a hold of you?
Yes, Miss Lisa, thank you. Again, I would say the best way you can reach me is always confidentstrides.com. It's confidentstrides.com. And my podcast, even though it's under Coffee with Tea, you can still find on my website links to the podcast and links to the YouTube channel. So depending on how you want to watch it, you can catch us that way. And then there's also an events page that we added. So if you want to see anything that we have coming up, you're welcome to join us. We do mastermind and accountability group sessions too.
Are you doing those now like virtually?
Yes, ma'am.
There you
Yes,
go.
ma'am.
Good. That's great. Yeah, because you had said you're in Ohio. I'm in California. So this is one thing that's really great about Zoom and however, whether they're software people want to use, is that we can reach out with people from all over the country and the world to connect. So make sure you go to confidentstrides.com to get Tanya's information. And you can subscribe to her podcast, Coffee with Tea. You may want to check out my episode. No,
Yes, yes, Miss Lisa's coming up. Yes, you got to check out Miss Lisa. Yes.
there's lots of wonderful episodes on there, and she's just really good at spreading a lot of love and joy and inspiration to so many people. So I'm so excited you were on. I have one other question for you, just in case, well, you were wondering why it's called Rock Your Talk. I always like to ask people what's their favorite rock singer or rock band, like what really gets you excited and going.
Well, the one person that really gets me up and moving sometimes is oh my goodness, the one that plays Juice. Lizzo, Lizzo.
Oh,
I put her on and I some of her songs just get me up and moving. That's when I'm like, I'm going because she has no shame about her body and just being who she is. So I just love watching Lizzo.
I like her lyrics too. They're really creative, and it's kind of like, yeah, I wish I had thought of that. She makes it seem so easy and so obvious. I'm like, wow, how is it that we've never had a song like that before? It's really cool. She's really, really very talented musician in many ways.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
cool. I love her too. All right. Well, thank you, Miss Tanya, for sharing your magic with us today. And for those of you who are regular listeners to the show, thank you for subscribing. If you're new to us and you're just seeing this for the very first time, make sure and subscribe on YouTube so that you can get more insights. There's tons of great business expertise tips that we are learning and hearing about on our show. And once again, I'm Leisa Reid, and we will see you next time. Make sure to be kind to yourself if you haven't already done that today, and be kind to somebody else too. Bye.